Hello and welcome to another episode of Death by Bunjie. On this episode of Death by Bunjie, we are going to look at, you and me, we are going to look at some crossbow companies that I'm a little suspicious of. I'm not so sure their heart is really in the crossbow game, if you get what I'm saying. I mentioned this in a previous video. I'm not a big fan of crossbow companies that sell both traditional archery equipment and crossbows. You can't serve two masters. You can't be as good at two things as you would be at one thing, right? If you pick crossbows and make just crossbows, it stands to reason you're going to be better at making those crossbows than you would be if you made both crossbows and another piece of archery equipment like compound bows or what have you. Now, I want to be clear, I'm not being critical of these companies and saying that their equipment that they sell is no good. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that as companies make multiple products, their heart's not really in it. Are they really committed to making crossbows better and moving crossbow hunting forward? The way that you and I are, the way that we as crossbow hunters want to see crossbows succeed, improve, lifting all of the crossbow hunters across the board. That's what I'm looking for. I've mentioned this before. I'm kind of a crossbow purist. I don't know that anybody's ever used that term, and maybe it's not a good term, but for me, I only hunt with a crossbow. That crossbow behind me, Bunjie, that convinced me to give up my rifle many years ago. I don't hunt with a rifle anymore. I don't even own rifles. I have one rifle left. It's my old 30-30, and it's just a family heirloom of sorts, so I don't think I'll ever get rid of that. But these companies aren't committed to crossbows the way I am. We'll start with PSE. Now, this is a company that is known for fast stuff, aren't they, right? Their vertical bows are fast, and when I started with the OB back in 2010, what did we have? We had a PSE back then. They were like the one company that offered a 400 feet per second crossbow for $400, like 2010 to 2012, somewhere in that era. That's a pretty big deal, right? That was a big deal back then. Now everybody offers a 400 feet per second crossbow pretty much, but they were really invested in crossbows at that time. We look at their website today and we go on here, we have bows and we have merch and find a dealer. This is their main web landing page of sorts. That's a pretty funny looking crossbow. Lots of vertical bows. We scroll down and their page is pretty much dedicated to vertical bows. Folks have asked me to look at their crossbows before, and we'll have to dig to try and find it. And this is a sign that this company is not really in it for the crossbows. They're not in it to make crossbows succeed and move crossbow technology forward. They are in it just to maintain a presence in shops as an archery company that has a crossbow for sale or something. We'll look through here and we're going to see these are all bows, target bows, other PSE products. So we are relegated as crossbow hunters to other PSE products, right? Now, we're the top of that. Heritage bows, bow fishing, and crossbows. That's where we belong. Talk about an afterthought. So we look on here at their crossbows and we see a crossbow. Why does it say crossbows when they only sell a crossbow? Should say crossbow. This is our only offering. The Coalition Frontier. That's all they sell. The Warhammer is gone. Apparently any of the Warhammers, the Warhammer was one that they offered for a long time, but this is all they got. This is a company that is not a big fan of crossbows, right? So don't tell me otherwise. Join the crossbow revolution with Coalition Frontier. With the Coalition Frontier, right? Delivering 380 feet per second, the Coalition Frontier is a fast and compact, affordable crossbow with an illuminated scope, quiver bolts, and cocking rope. Coalition package includes all of these important things. Very good. A foot stirrup. It is a pretty solid looking crossbow. Bow specs. The IBO speed rating is 380 feet per second. This, again, I commented on this in a previous video, but the website is put together by somebody who's really not a crossbow guy for a company that's really not a crossbow company. That's what we're seeing here. There is no IBO speed rating for crossbows. There isn't, right? We need to move in that direction of having a more uniform standard, I believe, of measuring the speeds with a 400 grain arrow. We need to be talking in terms of 400 grain arrows or some consistent arrow weight. Shouldn't be 350. That's not a realistic one in the modern era, I don't believe. And 500 is probably too much, but 400 or 450. Pick 400, I don't know. We have the mass weight of 6.9 pounds and draw weights are 190. They have one crossbow It also looks like it has a synthetic rail. Does not tell us the price. And that's what they have. So there, that's what you get from PSE. I'm going to go look. Coalition Frontier, we can buy it for $249. So this is a company that sells a $250 crossbow, and that's it. PSE, not a modern crossbow company, in my opinion. And that's what Death by Bunjie is. It's my opinion. So there. Xpedition Archery. Let's look at that. We got Xpedition Archery. We did take a look at Xpedition because friends of Bunjie had asked me to do so. We took a look at those in a previous video. Here we have their website again, and I think this is what prompted my whole idea for doing this video, was looking at their website. I had to dig to find, we got all the vertical bows, right? And I had to dig to find where the crossbows are. We go down here, bows, accessories, and apparel. We'll click on bows. Maybe it'll be something here, and we scroll through here. We see no crossbows whatsoever. We go, if I remember correctly, we went down to the very bottom, and crossbows, home, shop all vertical bows and crossbows. And that tells you how important crossbows are to this company. Now, when we look on here, they got lots of crossbows, right? They have lots of crossbows. But when we noticed, when I commented on this last time, they're all on sale, right? They're trying to get rid of this inventory, I'm betting. That's pretty much what it is. And the one that is not on sale, the Rut Hunter 400X, is a $400 crossbow. And it's ready to ship. And if I remember correctly, a good solid crossbow. It's a good looking crossbow. But it's from a company here, and they use that language. Remember that? Pull weight. The site is put together by a guy that doesn't understand crossbows and doesn't want to understand crossbows. He wants to finish this website and get back to vertical bows. That's what he wants to do, because that's where his heart is. So, and that's fine, but that is not a company that I would support with my money for crossbow purchases, right? So that's where I'm at with that. I am a crossbow purist, and I want to support companies that like crossbows. Sub 1 XR. Here we are, Mission Crossbows, baby. This is a website that starts out with crossbows. So that means they are a crossbow company. Am I right? No, I'm wrong. This is not a company that likes crossbows, in my opinion. I'll tell you why. Because this company dislikes crossbows so much that they wouldn't even give those crossbows the same name as the company. At least Xpedition calls them Xpedition crossbows, right? And PSE calls them PSE crossbows. Same as the vertical bows. But Mission is really Matthews. Matthews did not want their crossbows to be linked with the Matthews name at all. I don't think they wanted to make crossbows. If you look back, I looked at a lot of articles on this because I'm actually working on a third book about crossbows, the Death by Bunjie Crossbow Manifesto. Matthews is a company that I had heard the guy didn't even want to make a crossbow. Really, the only reason they got into crossbows was because people were asking for them. And the dealers that they dealt with, they're selling all their vertical bows, dealers across the whole country, were asking Matthews, hey, you got to make a crossbow because people are asking for crossbows. If Matthews doesn't have a crossbow, I can't sell him a crossbow because I'm hooked up with Matthews. It was kind of because crossbows were becoming so popular, they got into it. They did not get into crossbows because they love crossbows and want to move crossbow hunting forward. They got into crossbows because they pretty much were going to start losing some dealers if they didn't start making a product to fill that gap on the dealers' shelves. Now, these are interesting products. I did look closely at the missions when I was upgrading from the original Bunjie. Remember that? Mission was one of the ones we looked at. But when we talk about a company that doesn't support crossbow hunting, really, or does so because it has to, out of an obligation, not because it's where its heart is, right? This company's passion is not crossbows. That's what I'm getting at here. If you need further proof of that, they haven't made a new crossbow since like 2019, right? The Sub 1 XR right here on the screen. Sub 1 XR. That crossbow came out, I think, in 2019. It's like 6 years old. And they haven't made an upgraded crossbow. It's kind of shooting in the modern speeds, but you're well under 400 feet per second with a 400 grain arrow. It's got some interesting technology. You can change the string without a bow press. You can tune it differently. It's got some good stuff. I didn't like the safety on it. Was a big thing for me. That was a deal breaker. But for the most part, this is not a company that calls itself a crossbow company, really. They didn't even give it the same name. America's archery company, Darton. Darton Archery, right? Now, at least on here, They have compound bows, hunting bows, target bows, and youth bows. And then we go to crossbows. We can click on that, and at least they have a separate menu entry for crossbows. So that's nice. But again, we look down here at Darton, and here's America's archery company. But look, kaboom, one crossbow. Price slashed, practically half price on their sole crossbow, the Renegade 370. The only one, and it's on sale. Again, not a company that really wants to be in the crossbow business. Now, maybe this just isn't their bread and butter, so they're working on other stuff. But again, for me, as a crossbow purist, I want to put my money into a company and reward them for moving crossbows forward. That's what I'm doing. This is a market, right? And you're kind of voting with your dollar. When I give a company money, I want them to move crossbow hunting forward. When you look at the crossbows that we hunt with here in this family, right, in my family, we got Excaliburs, which is a company that just makes crossbows. Now it's owned by a company that makes a little bit of everything, but it's a company that started out just making crossbows. And when I bought that crossbow, it was a Canadian company that only made crossbows. And that was part of my decision. Again, can't serve two masters. A company that only makes crossbows probably does a pretty good job of it, because that's all they do. Killer Instinct. Love my Killer Instinct, right? I got 3 SWAT X1s. I love those crossbows. And that's from a company that just makes crossbows. The Raven, the Black Widow, for all of my angst built up about that crossbow and frustration and nervousness about that crossbow, it is built by Raven, a company that just makes crossbows. I know they're owned by somebody else, that's owned by somebody else, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is Raven has been a company that's been founded on and only makes crossbows. And the Slick Black Cadillac. Let's not forget the Slick Black Cadillac. That company, again, made by Scorpion, a company that only makes crossbows. Very unique one. These are companies that have invested into crossbow technology, creating crossbows and developing them and moving crossbows forward. Raven hits 500 feet per second. That's a big deal. That was a big deal because it's moving crossbows forward. Scorpion, reverse limbs, reverse draw, moving crossbows forward with those unique designs. It just gets another platform out there for the market to evaluate. Excalibur doing everything it can with the recurve design of crossbows, coming out with high output limbs, which sort of fix a lot of the problems from the past with those crossbows that they were experiencing. These are really important things. Killer Instinct has like 15 crossbows that shoot 400 feet per second. And now they're moving up, they're stepping forward with one that has a decocking feature and a built-in crank into one of their new ones. It's just great stuff. That's what I'm looking for in a company. The last one we're going to look at here is Bear Archery. Now, on their website, they got a whole bunch of stuff. I just typed in Bear Archery, went there on Google. This is their landing page. If we look, they've got end of season sale, Bear. We can click on crossbow. I found that pretty easy. Thank you. At least their site is built up. Up at the top, you can see we've got bows, accessories, gear, and about. Somehow I found crossbows. That's great. Got a nice picture of a crossbow here. But when we look down through here, they do offer 3 different, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different versions, lots of little recurves. Now, these are probably not going to be hunting things. 60-pound draw weight, that's a pistol crossbow. We've got 405 feet per second, 175-pound draw weight. So we do have some nice ones. Those are on sale. And this time of year, it's nice to see stuff on sale. This is the time of year when that would be the case. 420 feet per second. Now, this company does offer a wide selection of crossbows for us to choose from, and that's good. It's also a company, Bear Archery, right? Fred Bear. It was the company founded by Fred Bear. Fred Bear really didn't like vertical bows. I'm pretty sure Fred Bear doesn't like crossbows. You know what I mean? Just because he was a traditional archery purist. He understood where the business was going, but he wasn't like a compound bow guy. I think Fred Bear would probably be happy that I'm out in the woods hunting. I think he would be a fan of that. And I think he'd be very happy that my daughter hunts with me. I think that's important too, right? And that my daughter's a taxidermist. He would probably appreciate all of those things. But I don't think his heart is in crossbows. And I don't think this company's heart is in crossbows. But nonetheless, they do have some nice offerings here. And they're staying modern, right? 410 feet per second, 420 feet per second, 400 feet per second. Those are good crossbows. I like to see that. Each of these companies is trying to serve two masters. They're really not committed to crossbows the way that I am and the way that you probably are, given that you are a friend of Bunjie and you're watching this video and you're still watching at this point in the video, right? Let me know your thoughts. Until next time, all hail Bunjie.